Vicky, he whispered. Oh, Vicky, my God. She had been mounted on a crossbar like a hideous trophy, her arms held at the wrists and her legs at the ankles with twists of common barbed wire, 70 cents a yard at any hardware store in Nebraska. Her eyes had been ripped out. The sockets were filled with the moonflax of corn silk. Her jaws were wrenched open in a silent scream, her mouth filled with corn husks. Stephen King, I don't know what the fuck is wrong with you, but I'm happy about it. Let's talk about Children of the Corn, man. Uh, I feel so much more positively and strongly a fan of this story and this universe than I was 2 days ago. Basically, I read this story a long time ago, and I've seen the 1984 movie a bunch of times throughout my life where I didn't even really need to rewatch it. And I'm not going to discuss it only because there's so much stuff out there about it. It's such a popular, cult classic in the horror field that I wanted to focus more on the story and the two lesser known versions, which are the two reboots, 2009 sci-fi and 2020, 2023 movie, whenever it came out. And yeah, so the story, which I read after I rewatched the two reboots, um, and in hindsight, sci-fi 2009 movie, the first half of the movie sucks. It absolutely sucks. It's just so boring. It is literally just them talking, driving around in an empty town, arguing about let's go. No, let's not. Oh, it's empty. No, it's not. They drive a little more. They argue a little more. It's like 45 minutes of just that, and it is so freaking boring for the first half. However, the second half of the movie, once the kids start converging on the couple and once the attacks start taking place, I really think that it's decent. I'm not saying it's good, but you got to take it on its own terms, right? This isn't no $500 million Christopher Nolan masterpiece, right? This is a made for TV movie, 2009 sci fi. You have to expect it to have cheesy effects, less than stellar acting, less than stellar everything. When you consider it on those constraints, I really think it did an applaudable job in the second half of the movie, being a great adaptation of the story. I mean, it really follows the story very closely, especially the ending, has some genuinely creepy moments. And my personal favorite scene, despite the kid's voice being like pretty goofy and almost funny, um, the best part is when this little kid is explaining to Malachi about his encounter with he who walks behind the rose.
He who walks behind the rose.
It's blasphemy.
But Malachi, I did. I saw her shadow. I was back there walking up the road looking for the scent or more of his footprints. Only I didn't see any footprints because the ground was all hard and powdery.
I know.
And all of a sudden it got dark on my one side and I looked over and it was like the sun was out on that side. I could hear something walking, breathing, and the shadow came up on the corn. I couldn't catch my breath. I thought he was coming for me because Ahaz was my friend. It was he who walks behind the rose.
I mean, holy shit, is that creepy to me? Like, he who walks behind the rose is just one of the most underappreciated entities in Stephen King's whole universe. And I wish that Stephen King himself wrote more on the subject of he who walks behind the rose, because I think that what he created, and when it's left to your imagination and you don't see it, is just really, really powerful. And I think that also it depends if you have a religious background or not, right? I grew up with very religious grandparents, and I went to Catholic school, and I went to church a lot as a kid. So if you do have sort of a background in religion, I think that something like this, the evil gods, you can buy into it a little bit more readily, I think. And yeah, I love He Who Walks Behind the Rose. I think he's an awesome creation. I think he's super scary. And I think that that is my biggest problem with the 2020 reboot. Not that it's a good movie otherwise, because I don't think that it is, but I think it was really, really a bad decision to show He Who Walks Behind the Rose at the end, because he's just better left in the shadows, in my opinion. So about 2020, it's fine-ish for what it is. Like, it's the third reboot, and you got to try and do something different. And so they did. They updated it. They made it more modern. They spun it around to like make it more, about environmentalism and that kind of shit. It's fine. I mean, they tried, didn't really succeed in my opinion, but otherwise, I can respect it for being different, for trying new things, but still suffers from a lot of the just like corny Stephen King movie stuff, like the kids have a hog upside down bleeding in a field. Like, it's pretty disturbing. We might want to take this a little more serious. And the main character is just like, oh well, they're disturbed, but they'll just go on about their day. And it's like, yeah, there's something seriously freaking wrong here, and people are just so oblivious sometimes in Stephen King movies. But yeah, it is what it is. They tried. There's so many Children of the Corn movies that they did something different. And I think it would have been a little better if they kept He Who Walks Behind the Rose where he belongs, walking behind the rose. So, really a fan of the second half of the 2009 movie. And not that it's good, but something cannot be good. And I can also really like it. And I feel like that's the case with the 2009 movie. And yeah, just I have so much more of a infatuation with the whole lore and the whole world of the Children of the Corn now than I did 2 days ago. And I have the story and the 2009 movie to thank for that. So, yeah, man, check it out.